Hi, thank you so much for watching this video. I know it's been a minute, but I'm back and I'm super happy to be back. Now today's video is going to be all about my updated makeup routine. I have been doing this for, I would say, close to a year now, and I've done this routine during the summer, also during the winter, and it worked for me, okay? It works. So because my skin is really dry, I like to use hydrating products. So I'm going in first with the serum from LYS Macao. It gives you like a nice glow from within. It's not too much and it's just so hydrating. After that, I like to go in with the primer. It's the Universal Balm Powder from LYS Macao as well. And again, I've talked about this product so much on my channel and I use it all the time. Great primer, also very hydrating. It gives you exactly what you need whether your skin is dry or not. So the best way for me to achieve like a nice flawless look is underpainting, and this technique is amazing. So it's pretty simple. What I like to do first is color correct. So I use a concealer from Fenty Beauty. This concealer is great because it has a nice orange undertone. It's a little bit warmer than my skin tone, and I like to use it just to basically cancel out the darkness that I have. So under eye, around my nose, mouth, chin, wherever you have darkness, and also great for dark spots. So I don't like to contour, I do prefer bronzing. I feel like it looks better on my skin, and that's exactly what I'm doing. But instead of using a bronzer, I'm using a foundation, and this one is from Hourglass. I think the shade looks really good on my skin, especially when it's blended. It is very warm, so it does give me that bronze effect, which I love. So what I do is I just apply it all over my face, pretty much wherever I would typically bronze or wherever my skin would look bronze if ever, you know, I tan. And once it's all blended, I feel like it just melts into my skin and I love the look. So after bronzing, I like going in with the blush, and this one I'm using from Chanel. The shade is super nice. It looks really good on my skin. That's why I just love it. Anything liquid is the way to go. I wouldn't use any powdered blush at this point. Use liquid, okay? Now this will blend into my skin and mesh well with the foundation, and I feel like it looks pretty good. So I just make sure all of that is blended and you don't have any harsh lines. So now for the fun part, which is highlighting. I am using 3 concealers, which is not necessary, it's just a preference. But I think if you're going for a highlighted look, you probably need 2. Something that is close to your skin tone, and then another that is going to add the brightness. I would say go for 2 to 3 shades lighter, depending on how bright you want. Clearly, I'm using 3 and the 3 work well together, okay? So keep in mind whenever you're choosing your concealers, you do want the undertone to be great. So I always go for yellow undertone. I think it suits better my skin, okay? But just keep that in mind whenever you're choosing yours. So I'm starting with 2 concealers, the 2 mixed together. They just look lovely on my skin. And I like to take my time whenever I'm blending my highlight. You know, take your time, no rush. And I do prefer using a brush versus any other tool. I find that it gives me a nice full coverage, and it's usually what I'm going for. So once I'm done blending my base for the highlight, then I like to go in with my other brushes. So the brush I use for the bronzer, and then also the one for my blush, just to remove any harsh lines that I have. I am planning on going in on top of everything with a foundation, but I just want to make sure I use less product, so I'm blending everything so you have no harsh lines. So once I'm done with that, I like to go in with my bright concealer. This one is from Amicole, and I truly love it just because it's so natural, it's skin-like, and it blends really well with the other concealers that I have. Another tip I have is using a refresher. This one is from Tatcha, and I really like it just because it pretty much will hydrate my skin just to make sure nothing is super set and I can blend it with no problem. And then also my skin is dry, so that's an extra step for me just to add more hydration to my skin. Whenever I'm underpainting, I don't like to use a lot of foundation. I like to use it wherever I need the coverage, so around my mouth I would say, just because I didn't put a lot of concealer there, and then also to make sure I don't have any harsh lines. So I will put it basically all over my face, but a small amount. I didn't use a full pump. Typically you use less than half a pump. Seriously, it's just where you need it. Another thing to consider whenever you're applying the foundation is the brush you're using. So in this video I'm using a short dense brush, and typically these brushes will give you more of a full coverage. You can also use a brush that has longer bristles and that isn't too dense. That will give you more of a natural, effortless look. So keep that in mind whenever you're choosing the tool for applying the foundation. So whenever I'm done with my concealer, my bronzer, my foundation, my blush, I like to set my highlight. First step is to use the Charlotte Tilbury setting powder. That one is just my go-to. I truly love it. And then after that, for the rest of my face, I'm using the NARS setting powder. Also beautiful. If ever I have any excess powder on my face, I like to use a clean brush and just dust everything off. And then I can set everything with the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray. Now the next two steps are optional. It all depends on what you prefer, and in my case, because the blush I use and also the bronzer very skin-like, and I just want to make sure my skin is a little bit more bronze and I want the blush to pop a little bit more, so that's why I'm using these two products. But if you find that what you have is already good, then you can skip the powdered bronzer and also the powdered blush. Since this look is all about the base, I wanted to go very simple and minimal for the eyes. I went with my go-to. This one is from Dani Samarix, her palette. Oh, amazing palette, to be honest. I use the shade all the time, as you can tell. Put that all over my lid, and then for the lips, going again very simple. I'm using a liner from Refi Beauty and then a lip gloss from Fenty Beauty. whenever I'm setting my face, I like to use 2 setting sprays. Because my skin is really dry, I like to start with something hydrating like the one from Charlotte Tilbury. It's really good. It will give my skin a skin-like finish, but to make sure my makeup doesn't transfer, I go in with a mattifying setting spray like the one from One Size Beauty, which is amazing. Your makeup will not transfer, it will not budge, okay? And for the last step, I usually go in with a mascara, and if I want to, I'll add the lashes like I did in this video. Now the lashes are optional, but I do think it makes it look really nice. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you next time.